G'day everyone and welcome to RaceCentre's Race to Reality competition. We're here tonight at Lime Rock Park for round 8, a fantastic little race circuit and of course broadcasted to you live by v8online.com.au. And a big thanks to our sponsors, V8 Online Superstore coming soon, V8 Supercars Fan Group and Direct Clutch Services. I'm your host Corey Henger and joining me tonight for the first time in the commentary box, Matthew Barron. How are you, mate?
I'm not too bad, Corey. What about yourself?
Yeah, going good, mate, going good. Looking forward to this one. A few names you haven't seen yet in the competition, such as Chris Tarrant, Mr. Racer Champions himself.
Yeah, it doesn't do bad. All the guys seem to be within about the 2.5 second zones. The racing should be pretty close.
Yeah, should be good to see. A good little track. We managed to run the V8 Supercar here actually only about 2 weeks ago, so some of the guys should be fairly familiar with the track. And just a quick heads up, guys, we apologise for any issues we might have had there on the intro. It's the new build, still a few things we have to work out, but should be all good from here on out. We are currently halfway through qualifying with Chris Tarrant currently holding provisional pole over Phil Rockstra, who's he's still chipping away trying to get that maiden victory in the series and book his place into the final. But I think he's got some tough competition tonight. Squizzer with the likes of Chris Tarrant and Robert Hartley, two very quick guys.
Well, Phil was 2.5 tenths quicker than Robbie Tomei, Chris Tarrant in the practice session before qualifying here. So he definitely has the pace. He's just got to put the lap together in qualifying.
Yeah, something that Phil's had over the last couple of weeks is some really good qualifying pace, but the races just haven't worked out, whether it's through fault of his own or maybe getting involved in something he shouldn't be. But he's definitely quick as he just jumps to the top there, beating his practice time with a 58.3. That's a ripper lap. That's actually really impressive. That's only 2 tenths off Justin Ruggy's pole position time last time we were at Lime Rock. I believe Ruggy did a 58.1, so nice and quick there by Phil. But we're on board now with Chris Tarrant making his debut to the race to reality. Almost said race champions then. Out there in his little pink Legends.
A little bit of oversteer there out of turn 2.
And take a look at this. It's something that, if you're a NASCAR fan, you've probably already seen before. But iRacing have introduced this gyro camera in the system. It's pretty cool. It's, it shows some of the movements of the car as the camera stays still with the car in the body roll. Watching him come over the hill there. So it's quite a nice little sort of add-on to the to iRacing. Should give us some good shots next season in the V8 Supercar. Hopefully with a few guys getting on 2 wheels and see if we can get Seb to get us some nice replays of that one.
If this track had a few more bank corners, it would definitely be perfect for this gyro camera.
Yeah, well, it's pretty good on the ovals here. I haven't actually had a chance to test it yet. I only found out about it when I joined this session. But yeah, I heard on the ovals it's pretty cool with the way the banking is. But might need to try and convince iRacing to chuck us on a roval for the V8 Supercar next season.
Oh, that'd be exciting.
Take a look now at Robert Hartley. Currently sitting 3rd in qualifying with 58.8, so only 2 tenths off Chris Tarrant, but about half a second off Phil Rockstra at the moment. I think he's just behind his teammate John O'Barry, so maybe trying to get a bit of a toe down the straight.
Rob Hartley, of course, the top split runner in the V8 Supercars. John O'Barry there, big off into turn 1.
Looking at the clock, we have under 5 minutes left in qualifying. I'll give you a quick rundown of the order. Bill Rockstra on pole provisional pole rather, from Chris Tarrant, Robert Hartley, Robbie Tomei, James Scanlon, Luke Emerton, John O'Barry and Daniel Bryant making another return to the series. Of course, no Jay Kennedy tonight though, so it's unfortunate for Daniel. I'm not sure who's going to battle with now. I think that's everyone actually set a time too so far, with Andrew Holford currently out of the session. Yeah, Luke Emerton in a special Anzac livery.
It definitely suits this car nicely, doesn't it?
Yeah, the camo does look really cool. It's just a shame about the number blocks on the side actually being so obvious. Looking at the side of it there with the big yellow block and the number, it sort of ruins it. But it's nice, and it's good to see a couple of guys we saw the Powerbond racing team get behind the Anzac Day spirit at Suzuka in the V8 Supercar. So they're good to see some of these guys that really getting out there and showing their support. It's something that means a lot to obviously Australians and New Zealanders rather. Hearing that our director Sebastian hasn't done his job properly there and updated the delivery, so apologies about that one, but he's in a nice camouflaged Anzac livery. Go easy on his head. It's been a big 12 weeks, mate.
We've got Chris Tarrant there just moving out of the way for Luke.
So only a couple minutes to go now in the qualifying session, about 2.5. The order hasn't changed yet. Still Phil Rockstra on the pole. Luke Emerton passed off his time. He did a 5.52 and his best of the session's a 5.51. Let's see who might be out there on the lap. Having a look at Daniel Bryant now as he comes over the hill. Currently last out of the guys that have set a time.
The only one to not go under 1 minute as well.
Well, he'll be a little bit disappointed that he's that Jay Kennedy's not out there for a run. Obviously Jay's out tonight, I think it was. So we've seen some interesting racing between those two at some of the tracks so far.
I'm really sure we'll find someone else to have a good battle with tonight.
John O'Barry's not that far ahead of him as he improves his time by 2/10. I know John O'Barry and Daniel are having a good little battle in the practice session. So look at John O'Barry now.
Following James Scanlon in the Dynamic Sim Sport Ford Legends Coupe.
You can see him trying to follow James the draft. He's a little bit far behind, but he might be trying to just pick up any bit of time he can. He comes to the line to see improve his time. He was either on an outlap or he got an off track there. Robbie Tomei's got a couple of cars ahead. It's Chris Tarrant getting out of the way. And Luke Emerton. Oh! Emerton, as he tried to rejoin the track down no name straight, come across. Maybe he didn't see Robbie Tomei coming through in the background, and unfortunately he's just scratched up that Danzat Day livery. So 40 seconds to go in the session. It's still Phil Rockstra from Chris Tarrant on the front row at the moment. Gap is exactly 0.2 of a second.
Tarrant there improving while we were busy looking away.
He's got time for one more if he's currently on a lap now. Fortunately, I don't have any of the telemetry data up at the moment, so I can't see if he's on an outlap or not.
Robbie Tomei in the fence behind him.
Oh, yeah. Looking at checkered flag's about to come out. James Scanlon will be the first guy to catch checkered flag. He's currently sitting in 5th place, so I think it's a series best for James. He comes to the line. Can he improve on his time of 59.2? He doesn't, so who's next? Chris Tarrant aborts a lap behind him, and I believe that is everybody for qualifying. Take a quick look at the qualifying results. Phil Rockstra got the pole with 58.323. Pretty impressive lap there from Phil. Chris Tarrant is second with 58.523. Robert Hartley will line up with Robbie Tomei on the second row. James Scanlon and Luke Emerson on the third row, and John O'Barry and Daniel Bryant rounding out the field. And Daniel, the only driver to not go under a sub 1 minute around here, so he'll be happy to maybe find a little bit more pace. He wasn't far off it. He'll be trying to find a bit more pace for the race. And Andrew Holford, who has not set a time in the session, I believe he's actually no longer with us in here, so we'll have 8 cars for this race.
Well, the front straight here is quite long, so Daniel, even though he hasn't gone under 1 minute, still might be able to keep up with the guys in front with a little bit of draft help down the straight.
Yeah, and turn one's always an interesting one. We had a rather interesting accident that I was actually involved in last time at Lime Rock with a few cars getting wiped out, so maybe if you can just sit back there in last and wait for these other guys to wipe themselves out, he'll be alright.
Do a Stephen Bradbury.
So we're now in the race, waiting for the cars to grid up. And as always, we're still working away at this one for next season. The timer has started on your screen, but it's about 2 to 3 minutes out from the actual race timer. So we'll try and give you as many updates as we can as the race is going on. Of course, another 40-minute race. And as always, the winner of this race will book their place into the iRacing final of the Race Reality competition, because no one that is currently in this race has managed to win yet. So they're all fighting for that position. And Phil Rockshaw, obviously, he's being quick. He needs to not make any mistakes tonight. He might find himself on that list. Here we are. All the cars are on the grid.
Cars.
Yeah, actually, might be missing one. I'm not quite sure on my screen, but
I think that's James Scanlon.
Yeah, the timer's cut out, and we're about to go racing. We're off. Lime Rock Park. I think there's only 7 cars took the green flag. James Scanlon from the pit lane. Quite a tame run into turn 1. Chris Tarrant looking up the inside of Phil, and Robert Hartley around the outside. Those three, though, have put a bit of a gap already over Robbie Tomei. There's actually Robbie now. Pounded it back up on the exit of that corner.
James Scanlon, though, still in the pits, hasn't left the pit lane yet.
Not sure if that's the driver with the number 9 car, but we saw him grid, then he bailed out, so might be a drama there.
Chris Tarrant's got a run on Phil Rockstra.
Oh, it's a hairy place to make a move. He has to look up the inside of the hill. Phil gets a drive out of the corner.
Now Chris Tarrant's got pressure on from behind from Rob Hartley.
Oh, Rob, very close there.
That one bad exit off the corner here, and this under pressure immensely from behind.
And this is where Chris wants to be. He wants to be in the draft coming onto the straight. He's actually got a better run out of the last corner than Phil Rockstra. Phil moves over, he's creeping over. Looks like Chris has got the inside line there now, though.
Phil moves back to the racing line.
Needs to play it smart. It's a long race, 40 minutes, already done 1 lap. Chris uses a lot of the curve. They're going to go side by side. Oh, Chris drifts out a little bit wide in the mid-corner. Phil leaves with a bit more room, and Phil's actually had a big moment. I thought he was in the fence for sure there. I thought Phil was going into the fence for sure on that one.
He managed to, I don't even think he went off the road there. Very good save. Oh, he's had another little moment there.
Yeah, not sure what's going on. This is something we've said in the last couple of weeks. Phil's been really quick, yet he makes a lot of mistakes in the races, so he definitely got the pace to be in the iRacing finals. He's got to improve on his racecraft, and I believe James Scanlon now is also out on track, so whatever drama that was, it is being sorted. Oh, and Phil Rocksha's off again, just in front of Robbie Tomei there, hold on to it.
Tomei's got a big run now on Rockstra.
Oh, and actually just behind Daniel Bryant, big moment in the last corner as well.
Well, Chris Tarrant leads by half a second over Rob Hartley. Another 1.7 seconds behind is Phil Rockstra, with Robbie Tomei all over the back of him.
Speaking of Chris Tarrant, an event that everyone loves, coming up in about 5 days' time, and I believe you're actually quite involved with this one, Squizzer.
I am.
The Race Champions. Tell us what's going on there, mate.
I've been given the duties, the keys to the paint booth. I've got to paint all 5 cars.
How many skins are you doing total?
I think there's about 172 skins. So I've definitely got my work cut out for me to get them all done and uploaded for use on Sunday night.
Yeah, you want to give any hints, mate, to what car's not being used?
No, not yet. That one you'll all find out 6 PM Sunday night.
Just back to the race real quick. Daniel Bryant has had a big spin out of the last corner. Just got on the dirt on the exit. Round he went. He missed all the walls, so he'll keep going. Gonna go to a quick replay. Just come down the hill.
Just got a couple of wheels off onto the dirt there.
Yeah, lucky to keep it on the fence though, so good job there by Daniel. He's back out there, he's dropped a long way behind the pack now, about 7 or 8 seconds off John O'Barry. But back to the Race Champions, yeah, it's going to be a really good event. I think we've already raised over $1,000 too for the Cancer Council, and as you said, you got all those cars to paint. There's some nice looking liveries out there.
Yeah, they're looking pretty smick.
Just hearing the last count on the donations was almost $1,200, so a fantastic effort. And we've still got a couple of days before the event, so if we can push close to that $2,000 barrier, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Look, I'm with the man who's in charge of the Race Champions, and Now, there's already a bit of speculation going around what cars are going to be, what formats are going to be, what tracks is it going to be. A few guys are already trying to work out where it's, what's going to happen, and will there be reverse grids? Will be there some sort of weird and wonderful format that Chris likes to throw at us all?
Well, if the last race of champions is anything to go by, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, definitely. He's always got something up his sleeve. Whether we see it on the Sunday or the Monday, it's always something that goes on. And looks like James Scanlon had a bit of a moment there out of turn 1. Field pretty spread out at the moment now. A couple of gaps between each other, and no one's really attacking anybody.
Chris Tarrant slowly edging away from Rob Hartley now, out the margin out to 0.8 of a second.
Chris Tarrant sideways coming on no name straight. So after race champions, the guys have, I guess that they like to say, a bit of an off season, but really when you think about it, they do the final round at Suzuka, which is an absolute cracker, I must add, for the V8s last week, or actually this week on Monday. An absolute cracker. They have a couple of days off and they're back into a race champions, and just after that kick off another season for the V8 Supercars, and a pretty good schedule this time around, you have to say, Squiz.
Oh, definitely. It all kicks off with the new revamped Laguna Seca circuit for a 25 lapper.
Yeah, a good mix of sprints and endurance races and pit stop races for next season. As you said, it kicks off at Laguna Seca, a track we haven't raced at now for probably about a year and a half, 2 years. So, there's already guys I'm looking over the last couple of nights. They're already in their hosted sessions testing, so everyone's pumped up and ready to go for another season. And I think it's going to be great to be back at Laguna Seca. It's one of my personal favourite tracks, and although I'm not very good at it because I always tend to go up top of the hill just for the corkscrew, I think it should be good.
I think we've all gone off up there, Corey, even the best.
Yeah, well, hopefully the race, the likes of Madison and Justin and Hilly and everyone except Renz and us really can hopefully stay on the track. But no, it is. It's a great little track, and that corner it's going to be interesting in the V8 Supercar with that big handicap curve on the inside. And I'm looking forward to it. As I said, it's going to be. It's always good to go back to some of these tracks we don't really get to see very often. Now that our director has updated Luke Emerton's Anzac Day skins, and now you guys can enjoy that one. It is a beautiful looking livery. But back to the V8 real quick while we've got a bit of a break here in the racing. Off the road Atlanta. I know that's another one of both of our favourite racetracks, Squizzer. I've got to start calling you Matthew Barron actually for the broadcast. It's a bit more professional. But Road Atlanta, the first pit stop race of the season. It's another track we haven't seen for a while in the V8 Supercar. It should be anher cracker, especially going through turn 1 in the V8 Supercar. Such a big heavy car and such a high speed corner, it should be interesting.
Well, of course, here you've got the big heavy cars through the high speed turn 1, and then it's up over the hill where the car gets extremely light, and then back down the hill for the big S's.
Well, that's definitely
you said it was you mentioned it was a pit stop race. The pit entry here, definitely one of the toughest of all the tracks this season.
Yeah, it's coming down the hill, a bit of an S's into there, and you got to watch how you don't hit the fence on the way through. But one of your, I think we heard at Suzuka the post race, one of your tracks where you're looking forward to the most next season?
Probably the most track, the track that I'm looking forward to the most out of the whole schedule.
And then of course, round 3, we'll go to our first endurance race, and a track I'm not very fond of, but I think everyone knows that by now. Phillip Island, back for a 38 lap endurance race.
Phillip Island always produces some good racing in the V8, especially because the track was almost designed for it.
Yeah, and it's one of the favourites among 99% of the field. There's those few of us that don't like it, but as I said, it's a long race and it does provide some good close racing the whole time. Looking back in the race, looks like James Scanlon and Daniel Bryant, teammates now, found each other on the racetrack. What Daniel might have a bit of damage is actually, I'm just going back through my personal replay, and he's actually come out of the last corner on this lap he's just on.
Just made big contact there with James Scanlon.
Oh, the teammates. I'll say Daniel come out of the last corner and hit the fence, and he's come out of that turn 2, spun it across the nose of James Scanlon, nothing he could do. James, an innocent bystander, just collects him.
Of course, now they've got the leaders coming up behind them.
And these two, they're both damaged. I think they're both pulling over here. They're on the grass. James got to watch out though because the leaders are coming. He doesn't want to slide in front of him. He does. Robert Hartley just gets past that one. Mighty close moment there for the driver in second. And that's actually allowed Phil Rockshaw to close up a bit and Chris Tarrant to pull away.
I think Phil Rockshaw's been catching these guys just a little bit over the last couple of laps. You mentioned his speed in qualifying. Looks like he's finally putting some good laps together and reeling. Well, he's definitely reeled Rob Hartley in now.
The whole field has got past him now, and the official margin, first and second, thanks to that little moment there up the hill, is 1.7 seconds. Phil Rockshaw now only about half a second on the back of Robert Hartley, so it's closing up there. Go to the nose cam on Phil Rockshaw, looking forward at Robert Hartley. Such a busy little racetrack, and such an excitable little race car race. It's a lot of fun around this track, but watch it up this hill. You've really got to fight it. Going to be close. It's right up at the back of Robert Hartley there.
Well, you just hear the cars. They get light, very light over the top of the hill. The RPM goes through the roof.
Those guys are just lucky they're not doing jumps like the Vet Supercar was here a couple of weeks ago. Speaking of Vet Supercar and this racetrack, after Phillip Island for round 4, we come back to this place. You know, it was a track that had mixed reviews. Some people loved it, some people didn't like it, and it's back on the schedule. Another 45 laps like we did this season at Lime for week 4. So, you know, it's about 50-second laps. So it's definitely one of the closest we've seen in qualifying throughout the whole season. And I personally thought it provided some really good racing.
Yeah, well, I think I missed the main race on the Monday night, but the Sunday night race I did, and I was towards the back of the field in that race, but I still had some good battles all the way through the field.
It's definitely one of the tracks, you know, more like you know, Wanneroo, or for those who don't know Wanneroo, but it's also known as Barbagallo, you know, or Pukekohe, you know, one of those tracks that, like on the real Vet Supercar schedule, with elevation, some high-speed corners, and really short. So I think it definitely belongs on the schedule personally. Yeah,
definitely. I think for me, it reminds me a lot of the old Amaroo circuit from many years ago, probably before my time.
Yeah, a couple of guys also mentioned Amaroo, so it might, like I said, it definitely belongs on the schedule, so it resembles some of the Australian circuits we go to.
Of course, after that we head off to Virginia International Raceway, the full layout, which I know, Corey, you love that track quite a lot.
Yeah, it's, you know, you've got your Road Atlanta, and don't get me wrong, I love Road Atlanta, but if there's a track I'm really looking forward to next season, it is the Virginia Full Course. It's, in both sim racing and real world, it is one of my favourite racetracks, and it's probably the closest thing we had to Bathurst. It is just, you know, the high speed corners, the slow speed corners, the elevation. You know, you got the likes of, you know, you come through the S's and you brake for that left-handed kick down the hill, up the hill for Oak Tree, down the big long straight, just open her up for such a long time, then you're braking uphill, turn left, and then go through roller coaster, and then through the Hogtown. I absolutely love it. It is an absolute fantastic track, and I couldn't care if I'm running 10 seconds off the pace and you know, get lapped. I just can't wait to get to that place.
Yeah, it should be a good race.
And our first retirement of the race here tonight, James Scanlon, after making unfortunate contact with his teammate, finds himself out of the race.
We got Phil Rockshaw right up on the back of Rob Hartley into turn 1.
Yeah, he's closed that margin again. It just seems to Rob can pull it out, and then Phil sort of pulls it back in. Those two running pretty close, and it's allowing Chris Tarrant now. He's out to 1.6 second margin, and he's coming up on Daniel Bryan again. I know these guys are in team speak, so I don't think Daniel will make it too hard for Chris. Phil closing on the back of Rob as Daniel pulls out of the way up ahead. Oh, Phil Rockshaw very close to the back of Rob Hartley. He's still there. You'd almost hit the bunker, the corners on that one. That was mighty close.
I wouldn't like to try that in one of these cars.
Oh, they're close again. Looks like Rob's going to go to the defensive line. Phil goes to the outside. He's edging over, maybe trying to get some of that side draft. You can see Rob just sort of moves over more to the left and tries to squeeze Phil to the other side of the road. They're coming Daniel Bryan, and actually Phil Rockshaw around the outside of Robert Hartley to turn 1. Gets the job done. Rob's trying to get back into it. Couldn't get the power down as early in the mid corner. And Phil Rockshaw pulls off the move around the outside at turn 1.
Oh, Rob Hartley's not going to let this one get away easily. He's still all over the back of Phil Roxton, trying to get the move back, trying to get the position back.
Yeah, these two had a bit of disagreement at Road Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, so I don't think we'll see anything silly, but we know they're definitely going to be out there and fighting for the position as hard as they can. And Phil sideways over top of the hill. Rob's now got the inside line into the penultimate corner. He just gets it in there without making contact. These two are really going at it at the moment.
This will allow Phil to nearly almost break the draft here on Rob, unless Rob can get a brilliant exit.
Yeah, you can see Phil moving around a little bit. Going to be close enough. The gap now, thanks to that little battle, is 2.5 seconds to Chris Tarrant. Now that Phil's got past Rob, you know, can he catch him, or is he going to settle for second? Because he's still got Rob all at the back of him. He's going to obviously push, but Chris is doing a very good job at the moment. Just consistent times, all of them have been in the 59s, bar the first lap, obviously a standing start. Robert Hartley now trying to close in on Phil Roxter again. Give you a quick rundown on the order. We're just over 15 minutes into the race. Chris Tarrant leads from Phil Roxter, Robert Hartley, Robbie Tomei, Luke Emerton, John O'Barry, Daniel Bryant, and of course James Scanlon, our first retirement in P8. So that's where he'll end up, and Andrew Holford obviously disconnected before the race, so not sure what happened there. Oh, Phil, big moment out of the last corner. This is going to allow Rob to have a look up the inside down the straight if he can get close enough. He's closing in, He's going to have a big dive.
Back out of that one, there could have been some big contact, and they both could have been off into the fence quite easily there.
This is exactly what I'm talking about with Phil. I've had a few words with him. Post some of these races, had a bit of a chat, and you know, I've said to him he's got the speed. He's just got to work on trying to be a bit more consistent in these races, and he knows that. You know, he's working on it, but still, just a few of those mistakes is creeping in. It's really affecting him at the moment. Although that lap was still 59.3, even with the big moment. He actually was faster than Chris Tarrant in that last one. Look at Chris in the pink machine. Of course, this livery, if you watched the last race champions, I think it was. Oh, he's actually had a big moment off the last corner. Backs out of the throttle and keeps it going. So if you watch the last race champions, this was the livery that Chris raced in. I think it was at Homestead in the Legends. Hearing reports that Chris Tarrant's screen just froze out of the last corner, so hopefully that's not an issue that's going to keep happening. It allowed Phil on that last lap to close in about half a second, actually more. At 1.2. Oh! Big moment for Phil, he's gone around! Watch out, Robert Hartley, he rejoins! Just misses him.
Close.
Big moment for Phil Roxter coming onto no name straight. Sideways. Just holds onto it. Just misses Robert Hartley. Now he's going to have to try and catch up to Rob and pass him again. Meanwhile, it's all helping out Chris Tarrant. Yet again, he's continuing to pull out that margin.
Oh, Roxter, big moment. He's into the fence. Coming off the last corner.
That'll be day done. So again, Phil Roxter finds himself with race-winning pace. And then, you know, basically ends the race for himself after his own mistake. Comes down there, that car has got the crabs. Of course, big hello to everyone out there at RaceCentre that's tuning in tonight and watching the broadcast. Maybe if any of those guys in there at the moment have a bit of a steer, you might find yourself up against one of these guys in the final. Of course, the winner of the iRacing final will go into the outright final at RaceCentre to get the drive in the Aussie Racing car. It's a fantastic little competition that they've put on. It's a shame that more people haven't got behind it, because it's a real opportunity. But we've seen some good guys come through this series: Madison Down, Mitchell McLeod, Justin Ruggier, Mitchell Abrahall, Sean Kelly, George Maris. All those guys have already booked their place into the iRacing final. So it's some very good drivers that I think are going to be representing the iRaces coming in September, October, when the final is actually on.
Yeah, definitely. With those, I mean, those guys are all top split Fiat Supercar drivers. in the main race on the Monday nights. They all know how each other drives. It's going to be an intense race.
Speaking of the Vet Supercar, week 6 back to the schedule real quick. Week 6 back to Sonoma Cup. So we tried out the longer layout this season, and a lot of guys liked it. But I've moved back to the short Sonoma Cup layout for a 27-lap sprint. It's another track that a lot of people seem to think that it's more like some of the Australian touring car tracks or the Vet Supercar tracks that they visit throughout the year. So I actually was that Phil Rockstra? He's off again. Got a glimpse of Phil Rockstra spun at the top of the hill. I think I directly can get a replay of that one. Come up the top of the hill, got loose. Oh, he's collected the fence once. Continued to spin, has he? Yes. Trying to slow it down, and into the fence. So more damage to Phil, and he's going really slow here. He's actually pulling it into the pit lane again. So the second time in 2 laps for Phil Rockstra, he'll travel down the pit lane from hitting the fence. Unfortunately, he has so much pace tonight. He grabbed his first pole position, I believe, of the series, and it's just gone to absolute buggery here.
He definitely had some pretty good pace, as you said, Corey. This margin out in the front from Chris Tarrant to Rob Harley seems to be fairly stable, about the 2.2, 2.3 second region.
We can say this time by when Chris Tarrant crosses the line, it'll officially be over halfway in the race. So give an update exactly when he crosses the line. It's 20 minutes and 49 seconds into the race. He has a 1.9 second lead, so actually Robert Harley pulled in about 3/10 on that lap.
Yeah, Rob did a 59.31 on that one. Chris Tarrant only managed a 59.68. Yeah,
it's not all over for this win here. If Chris is having those screen freeze issues or his tyres are going off pushed too hard too early, and Rob can still find himself with a chance to win this one. Further with the Vet Supercars, for those interested, round 7, Watkins Glen International, and it's a favourite for everybody, but something a little different this season. Again, we ran on the Cup layout for so long. We shook up a bit last season and ran on the boot layout, but another mix up this season. We're running on the classic layout, so no bus stops. It's going to be a straight run out of turn 1, flat stick up the hill into the carousel, and I think it should provide. Not only is it going to be a really short lap, but it should provide some good passing into the carousel at the end of the straight.
Well, yeah, definitely. If you can get too wide in the carousel, because the corner's a little bit banked, the gyro cam will be perfect through there. And also the run that you might be able to get off the outside of the corner could set you up to get the position back that you may have just lost into the next corner.
Yeah, and it's all going to be about getting off the first corner, really, when you think about it. Because if you can get a good run and get the draft up the hill to the car in front, you've got to position yourself close enough to have a dive up the carousel. And another really cool thing about Watkins Glen this season, it's going to be a 46-lap endurance race. So it's a bit of strategy, a short lap, and I think it's going to be great. Another one that I think is going to be another cracker on the series. I can't really fault any of the tracks apart from Phillip Island for next series personally. It's definitely good to, we had a bit of input here at Vets Online, and it's definitely good that iRacing listened to us, and both Jay and myself are hoping that it promotes exactly what we wanted. We wanted to get rid of the fuel savers, although Suzuka was an absolute blast the last round of the championship, and that was a fuel saver. We wanted to eliminate the fuel savers. We wanted to add a bit more strategy with the pit stops, or also the sprint races. You go hard early or conserve the tyres, but we also want to try and increase passing. So the tracks we picked, we believe we've got some pretty solid passing places. So I think it's definitely going to be a good season, and the Watkins Glen Classic layout is going to be absolutely fantastic.
And then after that we head off to England for the first time. Next season will be the Alton Park circuit. This time they were spicing up a little bit, only using one of the 2 chicanes down the back straight.
Yeah, it's the V8 Supercar Series has been to Alton Park many times before now, and we've used the layout without any of the chicanes. We've used the layout with both of them, and this time we're going to come out of the hairpin. We're going to miss the first chicane and blast up over the hill and down into the what was also before known as the second chicane, but blast down into that. And that again, if you get a good run off that hairpin, it's a pretty narrow racetrack, but if you get a good run off the hairpin, you can maybe have a dive at the chicane down there, because it's the first chicane was criticised a bit because you really couldn't get anything done out of the hairpin. You'd have a run, but you just couldn't go anywhere with it. So again, hopefully that'll increase passing around that circuit. That's actually, I really enjoy that place actually too. I think you do too, Matthew. It's very bumpy and fast and narrow. It's a really cool little circuit, I think.
Yeah, it's another one of those like this Line track. It's just a little bit of a reminder of the old tracks we used to have in the V8 Supercar real life series in Australia.
Yeah, it's good. Like it's I mean, the current today's standard of racetrack obviously very safe and very. But one of the things I don't like about some of today's modern circuits is that they're too flat, too boring, and it's
too wide.
Yeah, it's great to go back to some of these sort of really traditional kind of racetracks out there. And like I said, by no means am I saying that today's racetracks are bad, but yeah, some of these old traditional ones are just absolutely fantastic and good memories of some of the tracks that we used to love here in Australia, and unfortunately are no longer with us. But followed by Alton Park rather, we head off to Twin Ring Montegi. A track we've seen quite a fair bit of over the last couple of seasons, but with a bit of a twist this time. We're going to run a night race, so it's going to be. I believe we've done it before at Sebring rather. We're going to run a night race. Not only that, we spliced it up with the layout squiz. Oh, Baron, I've got to stop calling you Squizzer.
Oh, it's alright. I'm sure the people know who I am by now.
But we spliced up the layout, and that's something I think you brought up to us. So we can gladly say that was your idea for that track.
That sounds good to me. Well, yeah, this one at Motegi, we're using the alternate start grid, so now you're sitting at the grid, waiting for lights, looking towards turn 1, which you can't actually see because the racetrack goes downhill. Yeah,
so basically when everybody crashes down at turn 1, we can just blame you. Because I can firmly say that is the layout that Matthew put forward to me and Jay, so that's all his fault if it goes wrong. But it is a cool little circuit, like you said. We get on the start line, you're not actually going to be able to see turn 1. You're going to be sitting there revving up the car, and then the road just drops down into the really tight turn 1 under the bridge. But instead of turning left like we used to, we actually turn right through a little bit of chicane and then fires us back off to, I think it's turn 4 or 3 or 4 on the old circuit. So it's nothing. We really need to cut out the last couple of corners and then obviously turn 1, 2 and 3. But a bit of variation is always good. Spice it up a little bit.
And of course the new section, slightly uphill, a couple of bumps in there, and I think it's actually quite dark through there, but with the headlights it should be enough lighting for the drivers to be able to see their apexes and see where the cars are around them. Yeah, it's going to be good, and hopefully if you get a good run through that little chicane, maybe pass up into the right-hander at the end of the straight. And but no, it's good. I've never done a night race in the V8 Supercar myself, and I quite like Twin Ring. The only corner in Twin Ring I didn't like was probably the last corner and then the first two. So now that they're gone, it made me a little bit happier. And it's a sprint race actually. So we've had pit stops here the last couple of seasons, but it's gone back to a sprint round for next season. Have a look quickly. An update on the race. Daniel Bryant's had a bit of a spin coming down into the final corner. Back up front, Chris Tarrant still leads by about 1.4 seconds. So the gap stabilised now. Rob over the last couple of laps pulled it in. But sort of starting to stabilise now. There's officially at 26 minutes. There's enough time for Rod to pull it. He's still closing in. And definitely the closer he gets, the more chance he'll have of getting some draft, getting a higher top speed down the front straight, and just reeling that gap in just that little bit more each lap.
So just a quick update as the drivers cross the line. The official race timing is 27 minutes and 47 seconds. Chris Tarrant leads by only 1.1 seconds now, so Rob Hartley pulled in another 2 or 3 tenths that lap. Robbie Tomei holding down a solid third, kind of by himself at the moment. He's about 8 seconds off the lead, and he's got about 20 seconds to the next car behind him with Luke Emerton in 4th, so a little bit of a quiet race there by Robbie Tomei. And then, as I said, Luke Emerton in 4th, John O'Barry in 5th, Daniel Bryant now finds himself in 6th, 2 laps down though after the unfortunate contact with his teammate. Phil Rockstra, I believe, is still in the pit lane, and James Scanlon, our only retirement so far for the night. We've got just over 10 minutes to go now. We'll get through the rest of this V8 schedule while we get a bit of time as Robert Hartley continues to close in the margin. Another track that I don't know how it's going to be in the V8 Supercar, but a track that I really love, and we ran it a couple of weeks ago in the Grand Am Series Barber Motorsport Park, a very underrated and underused track on iRacing. We're going to be doing a 25 lap sprint race around there, and I believe it's the first time since the Pro Series in 2010 the V8 Supercar has actually been to Barber.
Well, as we saw in the Grand Am Series, there was a couple places where you can put a little move on. The track's wide enough to go 2-3 wide easily, and have, like, I reckon some of us will be able to do a 3-car crossover move into the few hairpins.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I think what's going to be interesting though, in the Riley, you really had to sort of guess when to turn in at turn 1. There's sort of, you're braking and at the last minute it just drops down and turns. So the Vet Supercar is going to be interesting to there. But one of the places the 2 places I'm looking forward to is as you come out through turn 1 and 2, go up the hill at 3, the car gets really low as you come over the crest, you get sort of sideways, and then you get a bit of a nice wide straight run into the hairpin, which is mega wide. You can probably go, I reckon, 2 or 3 wide into that hairpin, but definitely going to be one of the main overtaking places rather on the racetrack. It's very wide, as I said, and the run over the hill, I think if guys start to struggle on their tyres towards the end of that race, slide over that hill. If you can get a nice straight clean exit, you can have a dive at the hairpin, and if not, then if you're brave enough, try and go side by side through the S's out of the hairpin after the next straight.
Of course, those S's we've seen, well, in the real life Grand Am series with the mix of the GT cars and the DPs, it's definitely a lot of action into that downhill S's chicane type thing. I'm not even sure if it's a chicane or an S's, but it's a mix of both, I think.
Let's just call it the downhill squiggles, because it's an interesting couple of corners, and definitely a track I'm looking forward to racing in the Vet Supercar. It's I said, not been used in a long time, so it's going to be going back to some of these racetracks, and just getting word that Chris Tarrant is continuing to have those screen dramas. The gap is currently 1.2 seconds. I'll give you an update this time by. It's 1.5 actually, so Chris opening a bit of a margin there. He's having those screen frame rate issues or freezes, so got John O'Barry, I believe, in the pit lane.
Yeah, he had a crash coming off the last corner. Just ran a little wide on the dirt. Just too much oversteer. A lot like what Daniel Bryan did earlier in the race.
Yeah, well, once you saw in the Vet Supercar, once you get out there, it's so easy to go wide at the last corner. You get out there and you think, okay, the car's straight, I can get back into it. You put the foot on the gas and round she goes into the fence. So, unfortunate for Jono. He's having a good run, although he shouldn't lose any positions. He's been down the pit lane, has not lost a lap yet, or actually he has, rather. Has he? Yes, he has. So he won't lose any positions though, so he'll hold on to his 5th place. Phil Rock's now also back out on track, but a whopping 10 laps down. Robbie Tomei continues his solid but quiet run in 3rd place at the moment. He's about 9 seconds off the lead. He's
just running around the consistent, very consistent actually, 59.6 region, 59.7s.
Back up front, Hartley put in about 2/10 on Chris Tarrant on the last lap, and the official time last time I was 31 minutes 45 seconds, so we're under 10 minutes to go. It's Chris sideways on the no-name straight. We saw Phil Rock do that earlier in the race and badly. Yeah, under 10 minutes to go now. It's not out of the question here for Hartley to close the gap and maybe you get a pass now.
Of course, you don't even need to make a full proper mistake here. Chris Tarrant can just make half a mistake and Rob Hartley be all over the back of him, stiffing the lead.
I'll give it an official time. Looks like he might be closing it again on this lap, so the gap last time was 1.36 seconds. I'll give you an update when we cross the line this time by Chris Tarrant. 32 minutes 44 seconds into the race, and the gap is under a second. Only 0.8 of a second now with Rob Hartley's 59.1 versus Chris Tarrant's 59.7. So I wonder if he's maybe just in that draft zone now that he can pull in a bit more on the straight than he has been in the last couple of laps. He's really closing in now on Chris Tarrant.
Maybe he could have also saved his tyres a little bit in the early part of the race, like Chris Tarrant gets a little margin early, use his tyres up a bit faster. Now he's got the grip, he's got all the advantage over Chris Tarrant. Yeah,
if Chris, as you said, maybe pushed too hard too early, might be hurting him, because we saw him pull the gap out in the early minutes of the race.
Daniel Bryan up ahead of him now, lap traffic, currently 2 laps down, about to go 3 down.
Yeah, I think he's visited the pit lane and the fences a few times this race. I'm sure he'll get out of the way when the leads come up behind him. Again, looks like Robert Hartley is closing the margin on Chris Tarrant. See, Daniel Bryan pulls over, and Chris Tarrant actually can't with him trying to get the draft here. As they cross the line, Chris Tarrant stops the clock at 33 minutes. The gap is still 0.8 of a second, so they did basically identical lap times that time by. Hearing reports that Chris might be having a few dramas with heating, so not good when you get to the closing stage of this race and you see Robert Hartley zooming in on the back of you lap after lap. Definitely getting closer. Have a look at after Barber for the V8. We'll go back to the V8 real quick, try and wrap this one up. After Barber for round 10, we'll head off into Lagos, another one of the drivers' favourites for round 11. 40 laps this time, so there'll be no fuel saving. It'll be a straight up, you have to pick kind of race. It's, as I said, a real driver favourite from last season. We saw it for the first time, and I think it provided some action actually into the first few corners, and I think you had managed to have a bit of a steer. I think it was Matthew in some of the practice sessions and that, and actually the race as well. He did quite well. Might have lost Matthew Barron here, just seeing if we can. Yeah, I'm not picking anything up from him, so we might have unfortunately lost Matthew Barron. Yeah, here we go. We just lost him on the team speak. So unfortunately, he's doing a very good job. It's only his first time ever in the commentary box, and he's not one that really likes to speak up much on the post-race interviews either. So he's doing a good job out here, out of his comfort zone tonight. Really got to thank him for coming in tonight. Actually, our usual commentator, Reece Gardner, was unable to make it. Looking up front, Chris Tarrant runs very wide there. Uses all the road and the exit of the final corner. I'll give you the official update again when we cross the line. It's going to be less than 5 minutes to go, and the official margin is going to be 0.4 of a second. These two, they're at it now. And just quickly to wrap up the V8 Supercar Championship, we'll finish it all off at nowhere better really than Oran Park Raceway for 52 laps. So we'll be pitting there as well. Oran Park will round out our Season 2 schedule, and we really got our fingers crossed at Season 3. In 3 months' time we'll be at Bathurst, but I definitely think it's. I'm not saying this because I have a bit of input with it, but I definitely think it's really one of the better schedules we've seen in a little while. We've attracted a few people with the good tracks and the no fuel savers and all those kind of things people didn't like, but. I know Jay was very proud when we woke up the other day and found out that's the schedule they were using. He was very excited. Robert Hartley now closes in on the back of Chris Tarrant. He's got a better run though. Robert had to back out of there, so he didn't hit the back of Chris. Lost a bit of momentum down the straight now. And of course, it's not over for Robbie Tomei. If these two come together, Tomei, who's been sitting back there about 10 seconds of the lead all race, just sort of relaxing by himself. If these two come in, make contact, he could very well find himself the leader of this race. Chris Tarrant had a big moment into turn 1. Looks like the tyres might be going off a little bit, or maybe those computer issues we were speaking of earlier. Oh, Robert Hartley, big moment on the no-name straight. He's lost about a second in that one too, so that's going to really help Chris out with his final laps. Doesn't have to push as hard anymore. Rob's going to be pushing as hard as he possibly can now. Big slide though for Robert Hartley on a no-name straight. It's got a little bit loose like Phil Roxer did. Thankfully kept it off the walls. Give a quick update on the positions. Chris Tarrant for Robert Hartley, Robbie Tomei, Luke Emerson, John O'Barry, Daniel Bryant and Phil Roxter still out on track. They haven't really changed much since about midway through the race, and James Scanlon, as I said, our first and only retirement, because of course Andrew Holford didn't take the start. I think we might have Matthew Barron back with us, mate. Can you hear us?
I'm back.
There we go. Just missed some exciting stuff there with the leaders. Robert Hartley was getting so close to Chris Tarrant, and then had a big moment. He's actually closing in again. So maybe I wonder if Chris Tarrant here's having a few tyre dramas. Is hearing that his computer might be overheating, so that might be causing a few of his issues. He, as I said, Hartley made a big mistake, and then Chris had pulled out the gap, but Hartley straight back on him. Just while you were gone, Matthew, we wrapped up the championship for next season, so it's definitely a great list of tracks and a great variation of sprint races, endurance races, and pit stop races for next season.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Hopefully getting in there to have some good battles with a former teammate, Matthew Hill, who's now moved on to TTL with John Emerson, Val Ritchies of the likes.
Yeah, it's strange to see to be seeing Hilly in another car next season, and I know he spent a lot of time with him. And Robert Hartley, we'll go back to that story later. Robert Hartley though is closing in on Chris Tarrant again. The official margin last time I was 2/10, but as you can see, he's on his bumper. We should have about 1 or 2 more laps to go. He's close enough. Chris sideways on a no-name straight. He's fighting that car. Look from the back of Chris Tarrant's car at Robert Hartley. They come now. They're going to come down the hill. So this could, they might get the white flag this time by, or it might be 2 laps to go. I'll give you an update as soon as I know. And see Chris, he's now zigging, he's zagging down the straight. He wants to try and break the draft from Robert Hartley. But they crossed the line with 39 minutes, 41 seconds, so this will be the second last lap. Who's your money on here, Matthew? It's definitely a hard one. Robert's looking fast. You know, Chris has the lead. It's hard to pass, but if you had to pick one, mate, who would it be?
Oh, I'm probably going to have to go with Rob Harley. He's got the advantage of the draft behind Chris, so I think that'll be all he needs to just get down there into turn 1.
Yeah, a big moment there. We saw what bad luck Pink brought you the last couple of weeks, so Chris will be hoping. They'll do the same thing as Robert Hartley's so close to the back of Chris up the hill. Chris has a big moment. Hartley looks to the outside. Big moment there for Chris Tarrant. The car got loose up top of the hill. They're going to come down the hill. They'll take the white flag. This time by, I mean, the last lap. Rob needs to get a good run off this straight, off the last corner, onto the straight. Here in reports, this is the checkered flag. It is, yes, so Chris Tarrant. My mistake there, folks. Chris Tarrant takes the win at Lime Rock from Robert Hartley. A close battle there. Rob had so much pace in the final 2 laps. Only by a 10th. So good race from those two. And Robbie Tomei, a nice quiet run back there to finish in third. Only about 11 seconds off, so the pace there for Robbie Tomei was actually quite good through that whole race.
He's definitely one to look out for next week.
I apologise about that one, folks. I did think we had one more lap to go. That's my mistake. The likes of Daniel Bryant, Phil Rockstra, John O'Barry coming to the line. I'll give you a full rundown on the results in just a moment. It's John O'Barry. Big moment there for Barry off the last corners. Emerson in the beautiful Anzac Day livery comes to the line to round out the last of the cars on the lead lap. So good racing tonight. It was a shame to see Phil Rockstra's mistake. We had a good 3-way battle for the win, but fortunately he went off in the fence and it was down to 2. It's for such little cars, it was still a pretty good race up front.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully next week, Phil Rockstra, he can keep it on the road, and he'll definitely be. I mean, as we talked about all the way through the race. He's definitely got the pace. He's just got to keep it on the black stuff, and he'll get a win. Yeah,
I definitely think he'll be in the iRacing final for sure. He's got the speed. Just got to maybe work on, as I said, that racecraft a little bit more, and try and be more consistent and make less mistakes. And he'll definitely be there. To take a look at the final results, Chris Tarrant wins by a 10th over Robert Hartley. A fantastic job by those two. Robbie Tomei in third place, only 11 seconds off. Luke Emerton rounds out the guys on the lead lap, 45 seconds back for 4th. John O'Barry in 5th, 2 laps down. Daniel Bryant in 6th, 3 laps down. Phil Rockstra in 7th, 10 laps down. James Scanlon, obviously our only DNF for the night, and Andrew Holford did not start. I want to say a big thank you to you, Matthew, on coming in the commentary box. I know, as I mentioned it when you were gone, it's now you don't like to speak much on the broadcast, but you've done a good job to jump in at such a late moment and fill in for Reece. It's really appreciated, mate.
Oh, it was a lot more fun than I thought it would be. So hopefully one day I can come back, but not anytime soon. Reece can have his job back.
Might have to get you in one of the Grand Am or the V8 races, mate, when you're not, although you're always running in those two, so it might be a little bit hard, but no, it's good, mate. You've done a fantastic job. It's, as I said, really appreciate it, and definitely got a future in the commentary thing if you decide to go down that path later in life.
Oh, it was definitely some good fun.
And of course, a big thank you to our director, Mr. Sebastian. You don't hear from him. Obviously, he's in the background, constantly yelling in our ear about what's going on the racetrack, but he does a good job behind the cameras, bringing you all the stuff you guys can see. And of course, big thanks to our sponsors, Direct Clutch Services, Vet Supercars Fan Group, and the Vets Online Superstore coming soon. And obviously, of course, RaceCentre for this fantastic race to reality competition. But for another night, I believe we'll be back next week. I think we'll be going to Summit Point, so a really cool little track. But until then, you guys have been watching on vetsline.com.au. Of course, tune in on Sunday and Monday for Race of Champions. It's guaranteed to be an absolute blast, and if you're a racing fan, you gotta watch it. But until next time, be watching, as I said, vetsline.com.au.